Hello. In this webinar, I'm going to talk about taking care of the mental health of staff working from home and also your own well-being during this period of social isolation. So I want for a moment for you to just stop and visualize something for me. So just close your eyes. Start by visualizing yourself no longer walking into your workplace. Your finances are uncertain. Suddenly, you're not able to see your friends or to attend the places that you usually visit. Your routine, which normally keeps you really well, has suddenly shifted. Your usual support networks have stopped, as everyone is worried about their own family and sometimes have very little time for you. Your anxieties are increasing. You've been told to stay at home by your manager. Your manager is busy and you start to feel unwell in yourself. You don't want to get out of bed. The world usually, when we think about this almost sounds like a case study, but it's not. It is a lived experience and very hard to believe. We all have mental health. So this virus is having a huge impact on how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. It's going to have an impact on how we also feel about each other. So start by checking in on those who you work with. Make sure you have all your staff emergency contact numbers and they're up to date. When you connect with them, make sure you ask about their health and well-being. We recommend that you make use of the Wellbeing Action Plan, which I'm going to show you now. This Wellbeing Action Plan is a very simple way of coming up with an agreement between yourself and the staff that you work with. So you'll see it invites people to look at the early warning signs of poor mental health, to look out for any workplace triggers and the potential impact of poor mental health on their performance, what support they need from you and the actions and positive steps, and an opportunity to review any measures that are put in place. We have a duty of care to support those that are currently working remotely. You also might like to use this, which is a very quick check-in form. It's asking people what their form is today. So from 1 to 10, they can choose which of these they actually feel they are. It's a kind of useful method so that people can check in quite quickly. It was actually designed by a guy called Rob Stevenson from a company called Inside Out. So maybe at the beginning of your Zoom webinars, you could say, where would you rate yourself from 1 to 10? And that would just give you a very quick insight into how your team are actually doing. You might also like to introduce them to something called the coping calendar. And this calendar just gives them 30 different things that they can do to try and stay well and cope with our current crisis. When you think about the sort of messages that we're being given right now, stay home, do not physically connect with others other than your family who live in the same space. I mean, all those messages are opposite to the messages that we give out around looking after your mental health, which are all about connecting with people, having more social contact with people. And at the moment, we're very limited to using the telephone and the video. it's important that we think about what our daily routines are. Now everything has actually changed. Routines are really important. So they're like touchstones in life. They actually help us maintain ourselves mentally. So if you think about the routines that you used to have, maybe you used to get up at a certain time, keeping those are actually incredibly important. And if you're looking at a screen for too long, that's not going to do very good for your mental well-being. So I'm really going to suggest that you think about taking a break, at least 15 minutes break. Exercise is really important, and I don't know about you, but since I've been told I can only go for one walk a day, I am going for a walk a day. When I could have gone for a walk any day, I probably wouldn't have. But now I feel kind of committed to my own physical well-being. We're very lucky in Somerset. We have an organisation called SAS, which is the Somerset Activity and Sports Partnership. And they've come up with all sorts of resources to help us with exercise and help keeping us well. One of those is specifically designed for the elderly, which is an elastic band, a kind of exercise band, which they're giving out to keep older people active. But also for ourselves, if you're not older, there are over 500 free fitness videos on their website. And on the link I'm going to give you later, you can actually download and have a look at some of those exercise videos. The other important point is to balance your social media and balance your media generally. We need to be seeking practical but also credible information at these specific times. The World Health Organization has emphasized that we should be amplifying positive and hopeful stories. So we definitely need to shift the narrative away from the number of deaths to actually the number of people that have recovered. There often seems to be a dearth of positive stories about coronavirus and those who recover, but we just don't easily see them in our news feeds. So maybe you're responsible for the work newsletter. Perhaps you could take a shift away from the normal news and maybe also look at some of the positive things that are happening within your business and for those workers that are still with you. Talk about hope. Move the conversation away from being so fear-based. You also might have access to mental health first aiders in your business. This is a time to really make use of them. They're trained to talk about hope and they're trained to help people recover as well. So you might like to think about adding a positive news stream, which again I will put later so that you can access it, and you might even like to subscribe to Positive News UK. So we need to stay balanced. We need to move away from fear to trust. What I do in my mind is I think, well, before I post something on social media, I think, is it wise? Is it true? And is it kind? And if it doesn't meet that criteria, I don't post it. So we need to move from fear to trust. What we don't know in life, we fear. This leads to fear and mistrust in each other. And in ourselves, we go into our safety-seeking responses, which is basically everyone for themselves. Or as we like to call it, panic buying for toilet rolls. In reality, for the first time, we are all in this together. And we need to take a collective and shared responsibility to look after ourselves and the care of those around us. Start to pay attention to your thoughts. Your thoughts are very circular in nature, and you can ruminate on different things. We can get caught up in very anxious thinking cycles, and our thinking can become incredibly negative right now. What we need to do, and this might occur if you're talking to someone over the phone, is you'll notice that their anxiety is increasing and their thoughts are kind of running away with them. So one thing you could do is get them to name 5 things that they can see around them. Now, this is an old kind of grounding technique, but it's also very, very good It can help people who are feeling very panicked. The idea is really to bring them into the present moment rather than them be lost in their thoughts. So if you're speaking to someone and you can hear them catastrophizing that everything's going to go wrong and everything's going to be terrible, ask them to focus on their breathing, bring them into the here and now. That's incredibly important. You could also try something called box breathing. So what this does is you start off by you completely exhale through your mouth, getting all of the oxygen out of your lungs. You then inhale. So if I start to draw a box, you then inhale very slowly and deeply for the count of 4, and then you hold for the count of 4. Then you breathe out for the count of 4. Then you hold for the count of 4. Then you breathe in, and so on. So if you visualize a box and go around it, box breathing can be very helpful. If you do that 4 times, that can sometimes bring calm back. And in the piece I'll share with you later, there'll be a video that you can follow to do that. So how are you guys getting on with sleep? A lot of people are really struggling with sleep at the moment, and sleep plays a huge part in maintaining our healthy immune system. So we really, really need to get our sleep back in pattern. Some people swear by mindfulness. I'm a great believer personally in meditation. And in my post, there'll be a link to a meditation video, but also Headspace are doing a sleeping app, which you can try out. And some people say that that's really helpful as well. What's important is actually to keep your routine. It's very easy to go to bed later or to get up later at the moment. And I'm going to suggest you go back to your old routine, because that will help your body clock. There is an app or a selection of apps in the Every Mind Matters sleep selection. So Every Mind Matters is a national Public Health England campaign. And what you can do is you can go into their app, and there is a whole section on sleep and looking after the body, which I think you might find quite helpful right now. There's also a campaign that was launched by Mental Health First Aid England, and it was launched on the 18th of March, which is a campaign called My Whole Self. And they produced a PDF, which basically gives you some work that you can do on yourself, and it's to make your mental well-being better for yourself, but also better for the business. And that PDF I'll also put as a link on the post at the end. The Just About Coping calendar I've mentioned, but just how are we coping with being around our family? How are you going to start a conversation with someone, maybe someone who's a bit reluctant, to invite them to talk about their mental health? There is a conversation starter which Mental Health First Aid England produced called Takes 10. It invites you to ask kind of open questions of each other. So how are you feeling at the moment? How long have you felt like this? Is there anything I can do to help you right now? You know, and you're going to get people who you really don't know what to say to them. And I would just be honest, I really don't know what to say right now, but I just want you to know I'm thinking of you and I'm here for you. You know, just being kind and understanding is what people need right now. They don't always need to be told what to do. They just need that kind of kindness. Make sure you set some boundaries. So just like your normal everyday life, boundaries are really important when it comes to a crisis. So try not to be overwhelmed by the information and the conversations that are going around. You actually might like to change that conversation. You remember earlier I talked about positive news. Well, it might be that you could say to someone, I know we're very focused on COVID-19 right now, but I'd love to take a break from thinking about it constantly. Maybe in the next 10 minutes, we could talk about how your book is that you're reading, or how you're planning to get together when all of this is over. And it works because it kind of reminds us. It reminds us of something which made us feel safe. It might be that they're listening to a particular piece of music right now, but take some time, find out what that is, check in with them. I think that's important. So something I've been doing, because my partner's getting really on my nerves right now, is we've been pretending that we've got this imaginary co-worker, and we're kind of blaming things on them, like, gosh, that co-worker went and left those dishes there again and left that mug out, and it's become quite entertaining, really. We've almost created our own kind of character. But what if you're feeling really unmotivated right now and you sort of think, oh, gosh, I just don't feel like doing anything? Well, our creative minds probably aren't feeling at their best. But motivation is fascinating. It's often linked to meaning. So think about the meaning, think about the purpose, and that might help you start to feel a little bit motivated. What is it that moves you to action normally? So think about what those triggers are. I've also produced a very short recording on motivation, which I think might help you. And again, there'll be the links at the end of this video for you. I want to encourage you to look at your reasons for change so that you feel that you've got some control again. If you're trying to motivate a team, why not think about, using email less and trying to use video? Think about the moments of joy and try and connect to that with the person that you're speaking to. Just a little bit of joy can kind of really lift us right now. Thinking about learning to meditate, I'm obviously quite a big fan. I was always told that 20 minutes of meditation is equivalent to 7 hours sleep. So if you're missing out on sleep, that's maybe something that you could have a go at. Meditation is a life skill. It's quite easy to learn, and I've created something called Simply Meditation, which is an invitation for you to have a practice of a 20-minute meditation. And again, that will be links to that on my website. If you want to go on my website, there's a whole page called Embody Life Design, and it's under that section. If your anxiety is increasing and you are really, really struggling, Anxiety UK have some really good advice. They suggest we use something called the Apple technique. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It starts with the word acknowledge. So notice and acknowledge the uncertainty as it comes into your mind. So, thoughts float around. Just notice them coming into your awareness. And then pause. Normally we would react to a negative thought, but what they're suggesting is that you just pause for a moment. Don't react, just pause and breathe. Then what they're suggesting is that you pull back. Tell yourself this is just the worry talking. So you almost pull back into your awareness. It's only a thought or a feeling. Don't believe everything that you think. Thoughts are not statements and they're not facts, okay? And then let go. So let go of the thought or feeling, it will pass. So in meditation, we learn to do that. We learn to allow your thoughts to sort of drift past, just like a kind of cloud drifting past, and to try and sort of sit behind those thoughts, like they're floating away, like a bubble. And then the E is explore. Explore the present moment, because right now, in this moment, all is well. So again, it's sort of bringing you into the here and now, bringing you into the present moment. Shifting your focus from your attention about thinking about something just into the present moment. We're all kind of stranded by fate right now, and we do need to burn up some of that nervous, negative kind of energy that's going on. So make sure you try and take some action, learn a new skill. The great thing about being a furloughed member of staff is you can still do training. And we've got 2 packages of training that you can currently access with us. One is the online mental health aware course, which is a 4-hour course. Or you could come and attend our line managers 1-day course. It was the equivalent to 1 day. So we're going to do 2 lots, well, 3 lots of 2 hours in total. So that's a certificated course. That might be something that interests you. But learning a new skill is good. It's important for furloughed workers that they must be paid at least the national living wage or national minimum wage for the time spent training. So that's just something for you to know. The other thing we seriously need to do is to eat well. Currently, I'm quite excited when my cake delivery arrives, but I am trying in between that to actually eat well. So nutrition is so important. There is a strong link between diet and mental health. A recent study found that a Mediterranean-style diet of nuts, beans, cereals, grains, vegetables, fruit, legumes, fish, and unsaturated fats such as olive oil is probably the healthiest diet we can be on. So try not to graze that biscuit tin and try not to order too many cakes like I am. So again, I can share a link with you which will give you some of the background on that. And then lastly, I want to talk about where to go for help. So in Somerset, we have Mind, and Mind have been funded to provide additional hours for support. Their phone number is 01823 276 892. That's 01823 276 892. And they're open Monday to Friday 9 to 11 and Saturday and Sunday 8 to 11 p.m. So good kind of opening hours, and I would definitely give that out as a helpline number. Somerset County Council have created a web page. If you type in coronavirus, COVID-19 mental health information, it should come up. That's got a lot of the local support services. And also you can use New Leaf. So we offer a business-to-business counselling service, and that service is available via Skype or telephone as people can't meet. So if you're a business, you can do that via our pay-as-you-go service. So those are where I'm going to suggest. There is, of course, the Samaritans that you can always ring, which is a useful one. And there's also the construction industry helpline. So there are many sort of helplines out there for support, and I hope that you will find one that meets your requirement if you don't have an employee assistance program. So thank you for listening. Hope it wasn't too long. And the webpage I will put below this link, below this video as a link for you. Thank you again, and it was good to speak to you.